last item that I wanted to discuss, and this has been a hot topic, it's immediately adjacent to my district, but this has been everywhere across the state and in the nation, is the idea of data centers. And it is certainly complex. I know people have very strong feelings about it. And I wanted to get the sense from everybody what you all thought about where we are with our ability to handle. It's inevitable somebody's going to come here and say they want to put a data center, whether they want to do what's going in Northern Virginia, which is vast, or it could be small or it could be medium. I know there's huge questions about electricity, the way the state of Maryland's electricity, energy policy, frankly, is so broken. Now, there's major concerns about water usage, about noise, property values, but we need a context to be able to look at this, a proposal that comes to us. I just don't think it's prudent for us to just outright deny. There are some things that are total non-starters. Somebody wants to build massive facility right in the middle of a farm field, non-starter. But a smaller facility that would take this much energy and use this much water, we need a framework here at the county level to be able to review that. And also on the flip side, to make sure that the way that that's being assessed and zoned and all those things would be appropriate when or if it would make sense for it to come. Because again, if something's the size of 3 Amazon fulfillment centers and takes this massive amount and is pumping millions of gallons every week, it's not going to make sense, and I would never support that. Who knows? I don't know. Data centers might be 10,000 square foot building that takes as much electricity as a factory that would go in the same building, but it would be a data center. We need to make sure that that would be assessed the correct way and that it would fit in our county. So with that, I don't know if we need to make a motion. I don't know if we need a moratorium. I don't know if we need a work group to, I don't know if we just need staff to look at it, but I would like to have that conversation in the very near future, maybe as an agenda item next time, or if we, I don't know what goes into creating a moratorium. Do we just say there's a moratorium that's needed? How long would that be? I think these are all things that are very important for us to figure out. Everybody, not everybody, a lot of other people are saying no in developing moratoriums. So the demand for data centers is there. Everyone else is saying no, or no for a specific period of time. So it's going to be like musical chairs. It's going to come. They're going to come look at land here and come and say, okay, this is what we're intending to build. So we have to be ready for that moment.
So going off of what you've been saying here, I definitely see the concern for this. But I'd like to see possibly, Mr. Jones, if you could work together and maybe have Ms. Webb, Ms. Banks, two of the key people with economic development and zoning, if they could look into this a little bit more, see where we sit in relationship to surrounding counties, see what they think might be needed. Maybe they would come up and say, hey, I think we need a task force to look at this a little further, but if you and your staff could come together just to give us another recommendation of what direction we think we should go in.
Yeah, the task force issue's been used in other counties. I had a meeting yesterday related to that, and I have actually a report from this task force being sent, so I can kind of take a look at how that's composed, what they're covering, what some of the key points are, so we can make that recommendation to you guys.
Great. Yeah. So I know time is of the essence with concern with what's going on in Federalsburg right now and us being so close. Do you think, sometime in August you could get back to us with a rough idea of, hey, I think we need to establish a task force. In the meantime, we need a moratorium, or whatever you all think, and we'll take your information into understanding. Did you want to say something?
I was going to say, in the past 5 years, probably we have been contacted, I'd say, by at least 3 or 4. Several of them have looked at the tech park, and it never moved forward because they're not job creators. Now it's different, and it wasn't as a big deal like in the public image at the time. So those kind of fell off, but we need jobs in the tech park, and that's exactly where they were looking. So they've been looking for a little while.
Right. I can tell you that actually Maryland Matters reached out to the county, and I did an on-phone interview with Maryland Matters is a large press. It's kind of like an online newspaper for what's going on in the state of Maryland, and their reporter was doing a big story about data centers throughout the whole state. And while you may have had some discussion, I told them we haven't had any major company come in here and say, hey, we want to do this, let's do it or not. And again, I had a brief discussion of what's required for data centers with a data center developer in Frederick County right now. And one was saying that we need 230 kilovolt line, transmission line coming in. There's one place in Dorchester that has that, and that's Vienna. They also need water or wastewater. Frederick, what they're doing is they're actually taking wastewater from their wastewater treatment plant after it's been processed and using that to cool the data center as a closed loop system. So they're not just taking up fresh drinking water and using it just for cooling and getting rid of it. But again, I'm not an engineer. I'm not an expert. That's why I'd like if our staff could look a little bit more into this and see where we need to be going with that. Anyone else in the audience that would like to say something? David.
First name is David, last name is Beverly, address is 2570 Lakesville, Crapo Road, Crapo, Maryland. Councilman Detmer, I'm glad you actually brought up data centers this evening because we actually don't need a task force to do this. The council has the full authority to put in at least a one-year moratorium. And we know this because as of June 10, 2026, Harford County had a unanimous decision by the council to sign emergency legislation, which was bill number 26011, which prohibits the construction in all zoning districts to facilitate any type of data center, because the data center that they wanted to have built in that county would use enough power to power 100,000 homes. Right. June 4th, Queen Anne's County had a 12-month moratorium implemented, which stops all data centers for the 12-month period and any applications. Right now in the United States, there's between 4,000 and 4,500 operating data centers. 600 of them are in Virginia. So I think the council would be very well served, especially for the residents of this county, to implement a one-year moratorium while we watch everybody else be the guinea pigs. We know for a fact, based on what the Mayco representative said, that this will increase utility costs on residents. It does, and they're already struggling with this financially across the country, and specifically Dorchester County. And like we've discussed this evening, Fellsburg's data center, which will be on a 200-acre site on Wright Road, which I know Mr. Detmer and Mr. Pfeiffer are aware. Wright Road runs right into Dorchester County, which is within a 2-mile distance, which will adversely affect Dorchester County. And like this gentleman said, will affect the aquifers because the Fellsburg water tower still pulls water from the ground. So even though they're not going to be on their own personal well, they're still going to pull from the water. And that's just basically what I really highly encourage the council to really consider a 12-month moratorium. Not a ban, but a 12-month moratorium. And as of today, Caroline County, as you know, has instituted a 12-month moratorium on the non-municipality parts of the county. I understand that your decision, if you guys went that way, wouldn't affect the city of Cambridge, but I think it would be in the city of Cambridge's best interest as well, and any municipality that has a water source. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir.